A shift is taking place amongst the conversations on who's aging harder and faster. Is it millennials or is it Gen Z? It's a bit of an embarrassing debate, to say the very least. Reason being that it's contributing to the mass hysteria of kids at the ripe age of 10 beginning their anti-aging process. The cringe debate began when a girl was on live stream with her boyfriend and somebody had asked how old the girlfriend is. The boyfriend replied jokingly saying, she's 47. And the commenter was left confuzzled because they thought she was in her early 30s and she's 20 flippin' 3.
I was humbled so quick tonight. I was on live with my boyfriend and someone was like, how old's your girlfriend? And John jokingly responds 47. And the girl comments, oh, I thought she was early 30s. I am 23.
Why and how could somebody mistake a 23-year-old for being in their early 30s? It has nothing to do with wrinkles. It has everything to do with the style Gen Z has curated over the past couple of years. We're constantly reminiscent over a time that we did not exist in. Millennials seeing themselves being younger than Gen Z actually makes a bit of sense. Bear with me here. What happens when the fashion that millennials were wearing when they were teenagers cycles itself back around to the newer generation? Nostalgia has and always will be a pinpoint for fashion trends constantly cycling back every 10-20 years or so. What I found to be is that Gen Z is so obsessed with the simplicity of a much simpler time, but it can also be a contributing factor as to how we supposedly look older than our age. I'm 30 and I feel like a ton of girls in their 20s look older than me. Not that they're wrinkly or anything, it's just their style. For me, I think it's because a lot of Gen Z dresses like mums in 90s sitcoms. And that's pretty much exactly how this 23-year-old looks. She looks very sophisticated, but in a mature way. Not that it's necessarily a negative thing, because it isn't. It's just that she's giving very well put together for her age kind of vibes. It's easy to see why these millennials would think this person looks their age or older. The 20-year cycle in fashion trends is in full force. The 2010s belongs to Tumblr's repopularization of the 90s grunge aesthetic. And now we're in a complete 2000s regurgitation in all its glory. Imagine seeing Gen Alpha in corset tops paired with blazers in the next 10 years. We cannot succumb to the same fate as what's happening to us right now. This leads me to that one video that's fueled the entire bonfire of Gen Z looks older than millennials. What's happening, guys? Gen Z looks old as millennials are looking 20 years younger than Gen Z, and it's shocking. Did you know that Gen Zers are aging rapidly and it's ugly? Like what? When did this conversation start turning ugly? A few people who happen to be Gen Z look old? Damn! It's almost as if the trials and tribulations one goes through is a contributing factor to the aging process of oneself, therefore speeding up that exact process.
Apparently, Gen Z is like aging really rapidly.
It is mainly because of the stress. Come here. We live in a time nowadays where millennials look way younger for their age, while Gen Z looks way older for their age. If you don't believe me, I'm Gen Z. Get closer. I am Gen Z and nobody ever believes me. When my mom and I walk out in public, people think that my mom is my younger sister. Right? When I tell people, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my family, they think I'm talking about my children. I don't have kids, right? I'm talking about my parents. I'm still the child. Does that make sense? I'll put it to you like this. Zendaya is older than me. Tom Holland is older than me.
All I'm going to say is that jacket looks like something my pop would wear, and he is in his 70s. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know what I'm saying right now? There was one time I wanted an autograph from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? I was standing for hours for this autograph, and when he walked up to me, I said, can you please sign this poster? It's for Jordan, right? He then took it and put, Dear Jordan, your dad is a great guy. He stood out here for hours and then gave it back to me. And before I can correct him, he looked at me and said, Times were way more difficult back when we were kids, am I right? And then he tapped my shoulder and left. Dwayne is 52. I am 26. What I'm saying is, so Gen Z definitely looks older.
I'm sorry, but The Rock is low-key wrong as a lime growing on a lemon tree for that one. I cannot fib to you right now. But speaking of fibs, the sentiment of Gen Z collectively looking older than millennials is just categorically not true. This person mentions Zendaya and Tom Holland both being older than him yet looking younger simultaneously. However, isn't it quite obvious that literal millionaires are able to keep up with looking younger as opposed to your average person who's just scraping by? When did aging become such an ugly competition? And people wonder why. Just why literal children are fighting tooth and nail to never see a wrinkle for as long as they live. And that's if it's past 30. Have you been seeing what these kids are posting, dude? But let's continue to dunk on the drunk elephant kids whilst dunking on people in their 20s for looking 37, whilst also crying about the fact that kids are losing their youth to being obsessed with retinoids and anti-aging. Make it make sense. Let's not forget as well that some of these millennials who are dying on the hill that they all look younger than Gen Z is just plain delusional. Don't worry, you guys definitely look your age, as do we. Furthermore, it's this toxic thought process that as soon as you hit your 30s, it's wrinkles galore, which is just not true. It is not Gen Z's fault that these people cannot cope with aging. It's just seeming to make a whole lot of sense to me as to why their kids are the way they are. Now, this video made so many people mad, and I can kind of get why, because the attitude is a little bit, but some millennials are taking it to such an extreme level and insulting this person's appearance, told that she was at least 40 years old and that there's no possible way she's in her 20s. This is just proof it's not really a Gen Z genuinely looks older than millennials. It's I'm way hotter, better, and prettier than you, and I'm only 30.
Okay, I just want to know who lied to millennials. Who lied and said that millennials look younger than Gen Z? Who lied? I just want to know, because just because that one guy that everyone thought he was like in his 30s and he said he's part of Gen Z, he looks older than his age. And then everybody ran with that saying, oh my god, yeah, like Gen Z looks so much older than millennials.
But that's the thing though. Everyone that I have seen who has been stitching that one guy's video, who is Gen Z, does not look that old. And I feel like we shouldn't have to get into the contributing factors of what makes someone look older, such as having a lot of facial hair, wearing clothes that your granddad would. Because if you remove all of that from that one guy, then he looks his age. And it's just such an unfair comparison to take this one person and then apply that to everybody else, especially when these people are taking out their insecurities on us as though aging is a negative thing. It is not. Y'all think that, not me.
Who lied? Who literally lied? Because ain't no way millennials look younger than Gen Z. I get it. There's like the younger kids, like younger Gen Z, they want to look older than their age, and I feel that's like normal because a lot of kids want to look older than their age. That's just kind of how a lot of kids are when they grew up. I wasn't one of them, but I know a lot of kids are like that. That's why kids get into makeup at such a young age. Anyways, like, you're gonna sit there and tell me that you are 40 years old and then you've been complimented and people said you look like you're 20 or like 18. Girl, come on. Maybe you looked at least 30.
And here's the thing, I'm not doubting the fact that some of these millennials genuinely do look young for their age. I remember when I was 14 and I looked a lot older for my age. That's why it's not a millennial versus Gen Z thing. It's a stupid cringe thing.
And 30 is not even old. That's the thing. Millennials, like, they're not old. They're really not. The oldest age for millennials are like 40 years old, and really 40, I mean, you're getting up there, but it's not like old. It's just kind of like What? Who said millennials look younger than Gen Z? Because I think a lot of Gen Z people look their age. Some of them do look maybe a year or two older than their actual age. But to say that millennials look so much younger than Gen Z, I swear social media has warped so many people's minds about how the aging process works.
And she's right. Social media has done exactly that. People's brains are so fried from constantly seeing influencers and celebrities with Botox, work done, Photoshop, Facetune. Like, nothing on social media is real or is quote unquote natural. And there's not really anything wrong with that. It's just that that isn't real life. That's not how humans actually work. But something that I've noticed in some, okay, emphasis on some millennials, they act up on their insecurities of aging. So this one woman who's 27 years old, who was out shopping, went to the registers, and apparently a 16-year-old girl was working behind the registers. And she asks for this 27-year-old woman's email address for rewards points or whatever. Apparently this 16-year-old had raised an eyebrow when this 27-year-old said an email ending with AOL. And correct me if I'm wrong, but who the actually genuinely is out here caring what someone's email is ending with?
Gen Z really knows how to make me feel like I'm a dinosaur, like I'm ancient. Like 27 is the new 50. I was at the mall today and I went to go return something, and like everybody knows, they ask for your email so that they can find your account. So the girl at the register looked like she was 15 or 16 years old. She, asked for my email, so I said yada 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 at AOL.com. She kind of like made a face and then typed in, and she was like, oh, I can't find your name. I was like, okay, why don't you try blah 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 at bellsouth.net.
I'm not saying that I completely doubt the fact that this 16-year-old probably was like, oh, I haven't heard that one in a while. It's just that more times than not nowadays, people tend to take so much personally when it's probably not even a big deal whatsoever. This girl was like, oh, that sounds like my parents' email. I haven't heard that one in a while. It has nothing to do with the fact you're 27. 27 is really young. I myself am 5 years away from being 27, and I'm not sitting here being like, oh my God, I'm getting old. I'm getting so old. I'm 50 next year.
Tell me why she made another face. And I was like, have you never heard of like Bell South? She's like, actually, no, I've never heard of AOL either. But sometimes like the older people that come in have those emails, like Hotmail too. Older people.
Okay, older people doesn't automatically mean like a 7-year-old though, because when I think of old people, I think of my grandfather's age. Again, there isn't anything negative about being old, but I myself have never heard of Bell South, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm from a different part of the world and maybe Bell South just doesn't happen here. But there are people who still use AOL, just like there's still people who use Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook or Yahoo. And also, she's 16, dude. Like,
I'm only 10 years older than you. So me, being the older adult that I am, noticed that she was wearing a Nirvana t-shirt. Are you doing it for the plot? Or do you actually know the band? So I asked her, oh my gosh, I love Nirvana. Like, what's your favorite song? She gave me a look. I gave her a look. And that was it.
I gave her a look. Now you're acting like a 16-year-old. Now you've just gotten yourself down to that level because you took it so personally that a 16-year-old was like, I haven't heard of AOL in a while. It's usually older people who come in and give AOL. You're not old. Stop listening to twits on social media who say that 27 is old. You know who's saying 27 is old? 10-year-olds. Who the cares what a 10-year-old kid thinks? And if you do, sweetheart, you gotta go to like a summer retreat or something. Get away from the phone, get away from social media.
The rest of the exchange was pretty quiet. You're calling me old through my emails, and you're wearing a freaking t-shirt from an older band that you don't even know one of their songs? And just to be fair, Google says that anyone born in 96 is considered the last year of millennials, and then other pages say that 96 is the first year of Gen Zs. And sometimes I'm like in the mix of both, but I guess
I feel like it's only older people or really salty metalhead dudes who genuinely care if a kid is wearing a Nirvana shirt. My parents love Nirvana. I love that band with my entire heart and ussy. But what I will say is, how do you not know that her parents went out and bought her that shirt because her parents love Nirvana and they're hoping their child follows suit? It's embarrassing at this point. It is shocking to me that people out here genuinely care if a kid thinks they're old or something. I've been told I look 18. I've been told I look like I'm in my 20s. I've been told that I look 30. I don't give a shit. In my own personal beliefs, I don't find aging to be a negative thing. I also will not change the way I do my makeup, my hair, the clothes I wear, just because some social media obsessed weirdo thinks that I look like I'm in my 30s, okay? Like, the point is, exactly, I just can't get over this Bell South email. I've never heard of Bell South, and so has 95% of the comments on this video. One thing that actually annoys me though is some of these millennials try and make it out that Gen Z just cannot survive without TikTok and Instagram and social media and the internet. We would keel over and die. We would have a panic attack. The world would start ending. When it's like, there was a time when the internet wasn't so ingrained in mainstream culture. I did not get Instagram until I was like 12, 13. So and I'm 22 now, which means that I've only been on social media for around 10 years of my life. Half of my life.
Things millennials grew up with that would send Gen Z into a coma. Not having GPS on our phones. So that meant when we needed directions to go somewhere, we actually had to get to a computer, go to mapquest.com, print out the directions, and then hope our friend was able to dictate those directions to us in a safe way on our way to wherever we were going.
I'm from Australia, particularly Melbourne, and when I was a kid, my parents had Melways, which is basically like a directions book of where everything ever is. I remember either being in the passenger seat sometimes, in the back seat, helping my parents with directions. Yeah, it was honestly a little bit difficult. I'm not going to lie right now, but it's not like I didn't live through it. And I am glad that technology has advanced to the point where we don't need to read a book while we're driving. I'm sorry, but we lived through this too. Don't worry, we lived through this as well.
Which is usually we weren't going anywhere good. But that also meant that our parents never knew where the hell we were. So that meant we could say, hey, I'm spending the night at Sarah's house, but really you were at some 19-year-old townie's apartment and drinking Mike's Hard Lemon.
Don't worry, kids are still sneaking out and going to places that their parents don't know where they are. That still happens.
Next is flip phones. Like, our phone's literally bent in half. And then when we hung up, we just snapped the phone in half. Just imagine the power. If you're mad at your boyfriend, you want to hang.
My very first phone was a Motorola flip phone, the pink Razor. Again, been there, done that.
Also, our phones didn't have cameras for a long time, and once we got the cameras, we just took pictures. Just for ourselves. Nowhere to post them until MySpace came out. That's a whole other story.
That reminds me when I used to take selfies on my DS Lite, and I took those photos for the purpose of no one to see them. I was not going to post them anywhere because I didn't know what posting a photo meant, because again, the only kinds of social media that was popular when I was a kid was MySpace and Facebook, which were both things that I wasn't allowed to have yet. So been there too, but this is exactly what is making y'all sound old. Back in my day, we didn't have bloody TikTok or Instagram. We had real life. We had grass and trees. We actually touched grass. I gotta say, Gen Z looks like shit. Millennials and Gen X, on the other hand, are aging like fine wine. Yes, Queen, let's put other people down to lift ourselves up. A classic tale we've all seen before. I mean, it's just getting embarrassing at this point, but this is the reason why I feel like Gen Alpha is so afraid of aging, because their role models are painting aging as being this really negative thing, and it just isn't. It's natural. It happens. No amount of Botox or drunk elephant elephant will erase that. Unless, of course, we're in the top 1% who are probably most likely drinking goat's blood to maintain their youth. This 27-year-old woman is the prime example of how far photoshopped face-tuned images have seeped into the minds of the masses. Apparently, this 27-year-old woman is lying about her age, is being accused of being in her late 30s, early 40s, and is also gaining a lot of hate from millennials who are like, I drink green juice and massive amounts of water and rub sunscreen all over my body, and I get mistaken for being 21. All she's trying to do is spread a good and positive message, yet these are the exact people who will hop online and cry a flooded river about how Gen Alpha kids shouldn't be obsessed with skincare, shouldn't be obsessed with anti-aging. Well, y'all are their parents. To be honest, no, it's a bit too much for 27. This is like skin for more of late 30s. I'd have never guessed you are only 27. Don't lose attention to your skin, please. How the else is she supposed to look at 27? Because maybe my brain isn't so fried yet, but she looks exactly her age and beautiful as at that. I'm 25 and I hope my skin don't look like this in 2 years. Same person to get on Twitter and write a think piece about Gen Alpha and their obsession with anti-aging. Why is this so? It's so shocking to me. I don't really understand it. The jokes write themselves at this point. That's a lot of skin damage for a 27-year-old. That's a 37-year-old without Botox. Mental health advocate. Yeah, go yourself. Why is it always the positive vibes only, mental health advocate, people who are constantly spitting pure venom onto happy and confident individuals who are trying to normalize the normal? I don't know, girl. I get the point of this post. Really, I do. I'm 30 and I've received no Botox or fillers and I don't have any wrinkles or acne. Posts like this make people think I've had something done when really I just use sunscreen and drink massive amounts of water and green juice. Could it possibly occur to you that this video isn't for you? Congratulations on having beautiful skin that is amazing for you. However, that post wasn't for you. It wasn't for you. This post is in fact trying to normalize not getting any work done because skin changes with age is completely normal. I don't want to put this random individual on blast, so I'm obviously not going to be showing photos of them, but all of their photos on Instagram were using that one particular face filter that people are using on Instagram to make their face look AI perfect, and I'm sure green juice didn't do that. So with all of that being said, everybody, this has been a long one. I've been seeing the millennials versus Gen Z age debate for a couple of weeks now, and it's really not sat well with me because it's turning into such an ugly conversation. People are just putting each other down for their appearance and trying to act better than one another because this person looks younger and this person looks older. Ew, ugly, bye babe. No, stop it. That behavior is ugly, if anything. So with all of that being said, everybody, I'm out and I really need a Diet Coke. Thank you so much for your stay at Yappersville today. I hope to see you all again soon. If you don't show your pretty face here again soon, well, we're gonna have a issue. Take care of yourselves and most of all, love your fucking selves.